educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast, where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
Thank you very much for tuning in today. I have a individual who's going to talk to us about his profession that a lot of us, are a little nervous about. But he has been a business law attorney serving South Florida, including Coral Springs and Parkland since 2003. And before starting his law firm, he was an attorney at two prestigious Am Law 200 law firms focusing on civil litigation. He practices complex commercial litigation, including contract disputes. And as a member of the Florida Bar and District of Columbia Bar, he also practices construction law, intellectual property law, homeowner and condominium association representation, and drafts and revises of business documents, and including the formation of business organizations, which a lot of us, we are in that process of today. So I thank y'all very much for listening to That Will Never Work podcast, and I bring none other to you than Matthew. Matthew, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Maurice. I'm excited to be here.
Sure, no problem. So Matthew, we're going to start from the basis. What encouraged you to even become a lawyer to begin with?
Sure. I grew up watching legal stuff, the People's Court and this show called The Judge. So I always knew I kind of wanted to be an attorney. I wasn't really into the law and order thing. I didn't want to do criminal stuff. So okay. I got my degree in political science. Then I went to law school and then graduated, started out at a small litigation firm in Boca Raton. And then gradually I went to work for two pretty large, once nationwide, once statewide law firms. And then I kind of wanted to bring my talents, as LeBron would say, to smaller businesses and things like that, because I grew up with my dad who had a smaller business. And I saw what he was going through and stuff like that. So 9 years ago, I decided to go out on my own. I founded my own law firm, and that's kind of how I got into this space of helping small and medium-sized businesses.
Okay. You said something about the TV shows being People's Court. Do you remember the TV show? What was it? Night Shift? Oh, what was that
Night
show?
Court?
Night Court. Yeah, Night Court. You remember that show?
Yeah.
Did that inspire you at all?
I watched it a little bit. It was kind of crazy. That show was about crazy things that happen at night in this fake New York court.
Right. So, yeah. I just thought it was funny.
It actually got rebooted. It's on Peacock right now.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice. So you say that now I'm sorry, getting back to some more serious things, right? So you said that you've seen your father, who was a business owner, go through some stuff. And so with that, what would you say to those individuals who are just starting out in business that they should look forward to or look out for those type of things that you might have learned from your father at an early age?
Sure. Obviously, anytime you start a business, no matter how big or how small or what your purpose is, it's going to be a time-consuming, very serious process. So my advice to all new business owners and new people who are starting businesses, make sure that you build the foundation correctly and you start out correctly, which is things like before you even start doing stuff, you have to have a written business plan that talks about your plan for how you're going to run your business, what kind of business it's going to be, what your setup is going to be, how you're going to get money, how you're going to have employees, things like that. Lay out the whole format and the whole roadmap for your business and a written business plan before you even start doing anything, because that's kind of the way you brainstorm, you come up with things and you figure out how you're going to start your business and go through your business. So that's always the first thing, is always make sure you have a written business plan before you do anything. And then the second thing I always tell new business owners or people who want to start your business is meet with an accountant and a business law attorney to come up with what is the best business organization and best business format for you from both a money standpoint and from a legal standpoint. Again, before you even start doing anything, before you start buying or selling or making or whatever it is you're doing, do that. And then that way your foundation is set. So then you can just focus on doing the business stuff.
So, depending on who you refer to or talk to, as an entrepreneur, you're just starting out, a lot of people skip that business plan step, especially all the pieces that goes with a business plan. Because, hey, maybe I don't know who my competitors are, or I don't know how to properly forecast the financial piece, so I think it's very interesting that you're telling people to really start out with the business plan, especially for those individuals that, hey, you know what, just make a video, go make a YouTube video, make a TikTok, whatever it might be, without doing what you're talking about, which is the groundwork. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, if you don't lay the foundation for what you're doing, I mean, you're just kind of jumping in. Even if you're jumping in simple or small, you're still at a disadvantage than if you were to plan it out and think ahead and have, written steps, or what's step 1, what's step 2, what's step 3, what happens if something happens at step 3, how do I get to step 4? And if you're not doing that, then you're already at a disadvantage, even if you're starting out just with a very small or simple business.
So when it comes down to the business plan, should I reach out to someone first, or should I just download something and look at YouTube videos? Like, how should I get educated in that business plan space?
You can reach out to, your business law attorney, your accountant, before you even start with a business plan, if you really want to put it together really well. But if you're not at that point, or that's not within your budget or your plan yet, then there's a lot of great written business plans or forms online that you can find, like particularly just with a Google search or look at it on YouTube. And they're pretty much, I don't want to say there's pretty much they're formulaic for the most part, depending on how in depth you want to get. But you can find some good resources online. You can also find some bad resources online.
Right.
So just look at your source. I mean, there's a lot of great things from like the Small Business Administration, from the U.S. government, and lots of different colleges put out stuff from their business schools, and lots of different organizations put out different, like reputable organizations, really good organizations put out forms, so you can trust those. It's not, some maniac in someone's basement who came up with this plan or something. They're all pretty good, so you can just trust your resource, and if it looks good, then probably it's good to start out with. And even if you start out with just the frame of something, whatever, you bring it to your business law attorney or your accountant, you can revise it. Then you can always, the business plan is always evolving too. So even when you're in business, you constantly update your business plan. So it's not one and done. It's not you do it and it's set. It's always constantly, being revised over time. So there's no issue if you want to start out from some kind of publicly available resource and then go from there.
So I think that's a very interesting point. A lot of us don't look at the business plan as a living document that's always growing and maturing and changing with the times. I think that's a very valid point, and a point that we all need to grasp from our business plan. Like as you stated, like, it's not going to be one and done. It's not going to be done forever. So I thank you very much for that point. Yeah,
I mean, it's an ongoing thing. I mean, if you have in there, your goal is to make $1 million. In your first year, you make $5 million. Well, what are you going to do? Right. You've already exceeded your goal. You got to change it. You can't just go, oh, well, I'm set. I hit my goal, so I don't have to do anything. You got to increase your goal, or if you're not as productive, you got to decrease it or whatever. Make it realistic.
So as you are going through the process of becoming a lawyer, thinking about becoming a lawyer, like you said, you've gleaned from some of your earlier year experiences. Have you really focused on small businesses? Have you been looking at mom and pop type places? What have been some of your focuses as a business attorney?
Yeah, so as far as for like the last 9 years of me having my own firm focusing on stuff, the focus of my business is on small and medium-sized businesses, whether they're local or in South Florida or Florida based or even outside of Florida. So I represent some pretty big companies and stuff like that, but my focus is primarily on small companies and startups.
You know, and I ask that because it just seems as though at this particular time, you know, it seems like we're kind of losing the homegrown small business community to some degree, you know, just for whatever's going on. A lot of us are being discouraged because of laws and income or whatever it might be. So that's why I ask. I'm just trying to find a way to keep us motivated. How do you keep us motivated if we're, you know, feel as though we're at our wits' end?
Yeah, it's, you know, obviously you have to have built into you some kind of level of motivation to want to do it. Like you can't train someone motivation, but, you know, you just have to have the best possible plan in place and have the most realistic expectations and just execute to the best of your ability. And that's generally the best way to keep focused and keep going on, is to have as much planned out as possible and have as many contingency plans as possible, and make sure that you're ready to go and you're not just surprised by everything that happens. You kind of anticipate some things that happen.
Well, but Matthew, like I'm not really good at that. I'm not really good at, again, like I stated earlier, about forecasting or understanding my benchmarks or whatever it is. Like I'm not really good at that. So how do I stay motivated, especially if it's something that intimidates me like that?
Yeah, that's why you work with professionals in your business, whether it's, you know, your attorney, your accountant, or for instance, a business coach or things like that help you focus on, you know, sticking to your plan and executing your plan, particularly if you don't have a business background or business experience. You bring in professionals who do, and they kind of alleviate the burden a little bit, and they help you out in doing things.
And a lot of us, because we are starting out, Matthew, like I don't have the funds. I don't know what to do. You know, I'm just starting out, and I'm confused about any direction to go into. I'm good at 4 or 5 different things, you know, so I'm not sure what I should even invest in and move forward in, especially if I don't have the money.
Yeah, I mean, you know, look, there's, to a certain degree, no matter how much help you bring in or how much information you have or whatever, there's a certain degree of self-reliance and self-focus that you have to do as a business owner. And you have to figure out, you can't be scatterbrained, you can't be all over the place, and you can't treat your business, if it's going to be your, you know, your primary form of income or whatever, you can't treat it as a hobby. You have to, you know, you have to ultimately have to choose. I'm good at 5 things. I can't have 5 different businesses, at least not yet. I need to focus on X and then focus on X. And then if you don't have the resources or you don't have the funds to get professionals involved, there's, you know, resources online, particularly, like I said, from like the Small Business Administration, various state and local governments that are pretty good resources, that are pretty reliable, that you can use at least to start up before you get money. And then even if you need money, like you can help get, the SBA can help get you a loan and, you know, things like that. So you can get started at least and get your foot in the door.
So, you know, I read somewhere that, you know, I should, this is the voice of a new entrepreneur. You know, Matthew, you know, I read somewhere that I should hurry up and get my name trademarked. You know, should I be the very first thing I do beyond a business plan? Should I go run out there and get stuff trademarked?
You know, trademarks, copyrights, patents are all part of what's called intellectual property. So, you know, the main emphasis is property. So you want to protect your property of your business. If you have something that's truly trademarkable or copyrightable, and that's going to be the focus of your business, like your brand or whatever, then you're probably going to want to go try to protect that brand as soon as possible, with whether it's a copyright or a trademark, or if you're inventing something, a patent. So that's something that has to go into your plan and something you have to figure out ahead of time. Or it's something that, you know, you can put off till later on if you're not that intent on protecting the intellectual property, the name, the mark, whatever it is. But if it is, then yeah, it's going to be it's going to be at the front of the line.
So how would I even determine if it is a viable object or a piece of work or whatever it is to get trademark or copyright? How do I even determine if it's that valuable?
Well, there's obviously the best thing would be to consult an attorney, particularly not just in this case a business law attorney, but you'd want to consult an intellectual property attorney to figure out if your particular piece of intellectual property is either trademark, you can trademark it, you can copyright it, or whatever. Another thing to do is, even before you get to that point, you can use good old Google and search to see if the name, the image, whatever is already in use somewhere. Because if someone else is already using it, you got beat to the punch.
Right.
So you're going to have problems if you use that, because they're going to come and say, why you're using my name, my mark, or whatever. So I would say before, obviously consult an attorney, preferably an intellectual property attorney. But before you even do that, while you're picking out your name or your tagline or whatever it is you're going to do, search the internet to make sure it doesn't exist already. Because if it already exists, you're wasting your time.
Right.
So you can come up with something new or something that's not used, or something that if someone else is using it, it's not protected, and it's, you're able to use it, and then go from there.
So should I use any of these external companies that we see all the time? Just for me personally, I just got a email from a mark.com, some weird company that said, hey, Maurice, why don't you trademark your name, even though it's already trademarked? But, come with us, trademark your name or whatever it is. So should I use that type of organization, or how would I find out that person or that company that is a viable, reliable organization to get what I'm looking to get done?
Well, it's a little bit of buyer beware kind of thing with those solicitations that you get. We all get solicitations as business owners for various business things.
Right.
Some of them are legit, some of them are not legit. That's why you want to have your group of trusted professionals that you can rely on. You can always ask them, hey, is this legit? Is this not legit?
Right.
You can ask other business owners. If you don't have an accountant or an attorney or whatever, you can ask another trusted business owner their opinion on not just this, but anything else, to help you out. Most business owners want to help other business owners.
Right.
So, and figure out and vet if this is useful or not. Because a lot of these things, they'll do what they say, but they're going to charge you a lot of money. And you could have went to like an attorney who would do it for much less and be much more interactive with you and give you a lot more information. So, you got to test out what you're doing. Look for online reviews, look for things like that, make sure they're legit. And just because they send you a solicitation doesn't mean you have to take it.
And I brought that up because, again, in this solicitation, they tried to scare me a little bit by saying, you know what, Maurice, I'm paraphrasing, your name, we just received a request to trademark this name. Jump in before this organization gets it. And so to some degree, if you were not aware, if you weren't on top of your business, you would be a little nervous, apprehensive, whatever it might be. So that's the reason why I ask that type of question, because sometimes we see these type of things and we're more reactive than proactive.
Yeah, and it's also a salesman gimmick. It's like going to a car dealership and being like, I want that car. And then they say, hey, that guy over there wants that car too. You better make an offer and get it going. It's the same thing. There's a thing like here in Florida where I am. We have to, every year with the Department of State, you have to re-register your company. All right. So all it is you go online, you click 3 or 4 buttons, you pay $70 and it's done. Okay, very simple process. Very simple. Okay.
Right.
Each time that your renewal is going to come up, like let's say my company started on January 1st, right? So all throughout December, you will get flooded with emails, with mailings, whatever, from all these companies who say, oh, your company's up for renewal. You need to renew. you need to pay us to renew it.
Right.
And it's all totally, yeah, I can pay them to renew it and they'll do it, but I can do it for myself for free, which is paying the filing fee. So it's like one of those buyer beware things. And it happens all the time. I get, our clients who call me all the time. They're like, oh, I got this in the mail. I'm like, that's a solicitation for you to use their service for something you can do for free. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing. You just got to, buyer beware, check it out and see what happens.
Wow. Matthew, I thank you very much for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. It's glad to be here.
But before I let you go, I got two questions. One, where can people reach out to you so they can get more information? Again, for those, so we're not getting scammed. We understand where we're looking for or what we need to do in our entrepreneurial journey.
Sure. I'm all over the internet, but the best way to reach me is to just go to my website, which is fornarolegal.com, which is my last name, Fornaro legal.com. Mm-hmm. And on there, you'll have all my contact information, my phone number, my email address, all that stuff. And then there's also a lot of resources on there, a lot of blogs, white papers, videos that I put on there, and then other podcasts on there where if you have... I pretty much have enough stuff on there now where if you have a generalized question, the answer is somewhere on my website. Okay. And then just feel free to contact me.
Okay, cool, Matthew, man. I appreciate it. So here's my second question before I let you go. It's my world famous question I ask everybody, my would you rather question. Matthew, would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road?
3 doors or a fork in the road? Mm-hmm. I'd go fork in the road because I got 50-50 on that versus 1 and 3 on the doors.
Just simple.
Yeah, so I have a chance with the fork than the 3 doors.
Okay. Cool, man. I appreciate it, man. I'm a fork in the road guy myself. Right, wrong, left, right, up, down. It doesn't matter. It's a fork. But Matthew, thank you very much for coming on the show.
All right. Thank you, Murray.
Thank you for listening to That Will Never Work podcast, and I will talk to you a little later.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at Chisholm Group LLC and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work, or will it?